Money FM 89.3, best of breakfast. Mind your business, only on Money FM 89.3.
Thanks for joining us on Money FM 89.3. When we think of probiotics, most of us picture those yummy little Yakult drinks or maybe a smoothie after a gym session. The idea is for it to keep your digestion on point and care for your gut. But what if your next source of probiotics could be in your next pint of beer? Imagine sipping a crispy craft brew that leaves you not only refreshed but also boosts your gut health. Well, look no further because born out of cutting-edge research at the National University of Singapore is Probicient, a startup behind the world's first commercially available probiotic beer. It's a kind of science meets lifestyle story that makes you rethink what's possible and what the future of food and beverage might taste like. And what makes this even more special is where it all started, in the labs at NUS, where research, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit come together in some really exciting ways. So to find out more about this latest venture, we're happy to welcome on the show Dr. Chen Dai, Chief Technology Officer for Probicient. Dr. Chen Dai, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chen Dai from the Probicient, the CTO of Probicient. Yeah.
Great to have you on, Dr. Chen. And also joining her is Associate Professor Benjamin T, Vice President for Ecosystems Building at NUS Enterprise. Prof, good morning.
Hi, morning. Good to be here.
Hey, great to have you both on. Let's start with you, Dr. Chen. What inspired the creation of Probicient, and how do you make that leap from lab research to launching an actual business, a food tech startup?
Yeah, because everyone knows that beer is the most consumed alcoholic beverage in the world, and it also led to the market recovery of the global alcoholic beverage. But it also has the health problem because of drinking too much. So the health of beer is the trend of the beer market. And the probiotic beverage became one of the most best-selling and the treated health drink products because more and more people are care about the overall health in the recent years. So the probiotic beer emerged a new product to expand the consumer base of alcoholic and the probiotic beverage. Additionally, the probiotic beer also can be drank by the people who are able to taste the dairy-based probiotic beverage. And during this time, we have from the IP in the life and to the table in the market. And this time, the NUS Enterprise play an important role in supporting us to transition our research from the lab to the market. So we work with the Technology Transfer Innovation Team, the TTI, to secure the patents for our probiotic fermentation process and the stream, and helping to ensure the technology was protected and newly available.
Yeah. Quite interesting to introduce probiotics into your beer. Prof. Ben, let's bring it into this conversation. From your perspective at NUS Enterprise, what stood out about Probicient's journey that made it a startup worth nurturing? Of course, NUS Enterprises has a lot under its wing.
Yeah.
I think Probicient is a fantastic story about how we can take an idea from our research lab into somebody's stomach, so to speak. I think the journey that Probicient went through is really a reflection of how committed we are to bring our deep technology innovations and ideas from the university ecosystem and out into people's hands. So I think what is interesting about the story is that after years of research, they found that the strain that they have cultivated, right, could essentially survive highly alcoholic environment. I think this was what kind of set them on this path towards beer as a beverage. And we are starting to see many more of such instances where our ideas, innovations are looking for a problem that they can address and solve that actually has market needs. And we are helping them to figure this out very quickly and hopefully through our various programs, such as the Graduate Research Innovation Program, is actually after the Probicient story. So the reason we started an entire program right now is to actually scale up the ability of our team to help all these young budding entrepreneurs, scientists to bring their ideas to market and scale globally.
All right, and I think it's worth taking a step back right now to talk about what this beer tastes like, right? Dr. Chen, what is the difference between what you are innovating here with probiotic beer versus what else is already on the market in terms of maybe alcohol content, in terms of shelf life, in terms of pricing? What are we looking at?
Yeah, because actually we have 3 generations of the probiotic beer now, and our first generation is the probiotic sour beer. So it tastes sour, and we have the flavor of the probiotic sour beer includes the raspberry sour beer and the golden sour beer. So this is our world first probiotic beer, and now it has launched as a BrewWorks outlet from the 2022 to now already. And it is very popular as a BrewWorks outlet, and won the gold medal in last year's 2024 Asia Beer Championship. And we have another generation is the probiotic hard seltzer. This taste has the lychee flavor, pomegranate flavor, and the peach oolong flavor. This is the low-calorie probiotic alcoholic beverage as an alternative of the beer. And now with our current, the third generation of the probiotic beer is ambient stable probiotic craft beer, and includes probiotic IPA and probiotic golden ale as well as probiotic wheat beer. And this probiotic wheat beer now have shown have prevent for the Singapore SJ16 celebration. So we have different tastes, but based on our research, we are looking at the health shelf life and the shelf life first, because we have to keep the both numbers of the probiotics inside, and then also evaluate the sensory quality of the beer. So after dozens of different flavor pair up, brewing, then we select different type of the flavor for different type of our probiotic beer.
Yeah, Dr. Chen, I'm also quite curious, what has been the reception so far to your beer, especially when you try to market it, put it on the shelf, sell it to people? How do you promote it or convince people to try something new?
Yeah, because firstly, we have evaluated the contents of our probiotic beer, including the bioactive compounds, and also we find, compared with the normal beer, probiotic beer have higher antioxidant capacity as well as the total phenolic compounds. And also we do the world first clinical trial on the probiotic beer, and we find the probiotic beer can keep the balance of the gut microbiome after drinking the alcoholic consumption, and after drinking alcoholic beverage. And also, it can help to remove the cholesterol from the blood. So we have the paper and the cover page paper to support the health benefit of the probiotic beer. Then can let us probiotic beer to promote to the consumers that what's the health benefit of our beer now. And also we will keep the sensory quality of our beer, that because beer, the first important thing is good to drink. So we will make sure that our beer is quite good on the sensory evaluation.
All right, sounds like a great idea so far. And Prof. Ben, I would like to get your expertise into this conversation because sometimes when you look at ideas, they look great on paper, but how do you bridge that gap between science and then bring it to market? What are some of the areas that founders need to pay attention to? And in this case, what are some of the ways to make it successful?
Right. I think, thanks. Well, I think feel free to chime in as well. But I think the biggest question around bring science or science ideas, science-driven ideas and innovations to market is really about figuring out what to build. And in this case, we often call this process getting to a minimum viable product. And many of the training for scientific investigation often tend to go somewhat different from this approach, where we want to go as deep as possible and find out as much as possible about this particular topic. Whereas the minimum viable product concept actually goes the other way, where what is the least we can do to test if our product idea would actually work. So these are very two conflicting training modes for many scientific-minded entrepreneurs. And this is the gap that we're trying to solve for our ecosystem, where we help our scientific researchers or top-notch, brilliant minds take what they have found, this whole body of research, and condense that into a very, very sharp product specification, an idea that is validated through customer interviews, through meeting with different stakeholders in the ecosystems. And this example is really more about food, so we'll have to connect them with the right beverage companies, the right kind of sales channels that might work for them. And so this whole process takes time. And over the years, since we started to see many of these ideas and the drive to bring ideas to market by the scientists, we then created a very unique program right now that is actually at the national scale for all Singapore scientists and innovators. We call the Graduate Research Innovation Program, the National DRIP program. And so we go through very systematically with all these budding entrepreneurs, scientific minds, how to bring what is essentially a paper that they write into something that somebody else outside of the university, outside the academic environment would be able to feel, touch, and use and derive meaningful outcomes from our research. So this is the things that we have been working on in a very systematic way. We aim to help as many budding scientific minds and entrepreneurs, right, to bridge this gap where how do you take something that's super, huge breadth and depth of knowledge, condense that into something that somebody can actually touch and feel and use. So this gap is most critical and often takes time. Our program lasts for roughly a year, where we go through the customer discovery phase, we go through the venture building phase, and then we go through the scale-up phase globally. And we all know this, Singapore is a very rich market. It's a very easy, accessible market for Singaporeans, but it is limited. So we also help them bridge this market gap, right, this scale gap, by helping them land overseas, whether it's in Southeast Asia, in the Americas, or in Greater Asia, right, Japan. We have built over the past 11 years or so, these 11 offices around the world to help our innovations go to the market that have scale.
Yeah, to your point, it's great to see Probicient doing well with its probiotic beer, with its also collaboration with Brewworks, among other things. Now, Dr. Chen, just to wrap things up, what's one thing you now know that you wish you had known from day one about building a startup? What's something you maybe want to share with folks who might be going down the same path as you?
Yeah, I think food technologies, the step-up between the NUS and the Orange Venture, I think the most important is to keep the cash flow for our project for at least 5 years, because you know that as a startup, we should have the team member to keep stability of the team members, and also we need to do the soft launch of our product. So during this time, we should keep the cash flow. Actually, the NUS program also can provide the initial cash flow for the NUS startup to look for the customer discovery and to let our product from the lab to the market. So it's quite important to the support from the NUS part. Yeah.
All right, cash flow is important to keep that dream going. We've been in conversation with Dr. Chen Dai. She is the CTO for Probicient, and also joining us today, Associate Professor Benjamin T, Vice President for Ecosystem Building at NUS Enterprise. Thank you, Benjamin and Chen Dai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to have you both on. Stay Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.